Rwanda, a country of 1,000 hills, a land of resilience and renewal. But before peace and unity defined its present, a secret circle of power once shaped its dark past. They called it Akazu, the Little House. It was not a government, not a political party, but a web of family, loyalty, and control. One that would steer a nation toward its darkest hour. In July 1973, General Juvenal Habyarimana seized power in a bloodless coup. His promise: unity and peace under a new regime called the Second Republic. But behind the image of stability, power began to concentrate, not in state institutions, but in private hands. Around Habyarimana's wife, Agatha Kanziga Habyarimana, an invisible network formed relatives, loyalists, and powerful insiders from the northern provinces. They called themselves the family. The people would later call them Akazu. Among the most powerful and most elusive figures of the extremist inner circle was Protais Zigiranyirazo, known as Mr. Z. Protais Zigiranyirazo was no ordinary political figure. As the brother of former First Lady Agatha Habyarimana, he belonged to the most powerful family in Rwanda's pre- and during genocide era. But his influence did not depend on a government title. Instead, he operated from the shadows, controlling business networks, political appointments, and other decisions that included the execution of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. The Akazu's influence stretched far beyond family ties. From the army to business, from government to media, they controlled Rwanda's power structure, quietly manipulating every decision. These men and a few select others made up the Akazu Corps. They were untouchable, unaccountable, and united by one ideology: Hutu power.
Dimanche 19 juin 1994, et il est 16h22 à Kigali, dans le blindé de la FLM. Avis à tous les dignes qui nous écoutent. Oui, à tous les dignes qui nous écoutent. Le Rwanda appartient à ceux qui le défendent vraiment. Et vous, les dignes, vous n'êtes pas des Rwandais. Inyenzi Inkotanyi n'ababwiye abasirikare bacu nibo ba mbere, mbabwira urubyiruko rwagutse kugira ngo bafashe abasirikare bacu, mbabwira inkumi, mbabwira abasore. Murabyumva rero, inyenzi ntabwo zishobora gukandira abantu bose. Imana tugira iwacu uko ari bake cyane, ni bake cyane. Ndetse nubwo twabariraga ku ijana, 10 ku ijana, ubwo basigara 8 ku ijana. Abantu se koko muze twishime nshuti, inkotanyi zashize, muze twishime nshuti, yewe Imana ntirenganya koko. Kuva hano niturwana tugatsinda inyenzi inkotanyi burundu nazo dutsira urubanza n'ububaho kuko ruzaba turarwanya kandi batsinda nidutsindwa byo birumvikana iyo twarigishyira mu gihugu.
To maintain control, the Akazu needed more than power, they needed fear. Through the media, they created it. The propaganda worked. A generation was poisoned with hate speech disguised as patriotism. By the early 1990s, Rwanda faced multiple crises: economic decline, pressure for democracy, and war with the Rwandan Patriotic Front. To the Akazu, these were existential threats peace meant losing power, so they prepared for genocide. Under Colonel Bagasora and the Akazu's influence, Rwanda's youth militia, the Interahamwe, became a paramilitary force. Weapons were stockpiled, enemies were listed, the stage was set. At 8:23 p.m., the plane carrying President Habyarimana was shot down. Within hours, Kigali fell into chaos. Akazu loyalists seized control, eliminating moderates and spreading the command to kill. What followed was one of the fastest and most brutal genocides in history. In just 100 days, over 1 million Tutsi were slaughtered, families wiped out, communities erased, and a nation plunged into horror.
nyine babiciramo ahangaha. Mama we na papa bari hano hanze n'abandi nyine ya mirambo agaragaraga muri video yose bari barimo hano. Babicaye hano imbere y'umuryango. Bakwetaga abana kubikota. Basekuriraga abana mu masekuru. Yaramwita ifata. Yari ifite imisumari. Mukubita mu mutwe ntabwo yubamye. Akuye yubamye nyuma yaho nyina yari yamubonye yihagazeho yanze kuvuga, nyina ahita avuza induru. Mama we nawe yari atwite. Arababwira ngo mumbabare ndebe umwana wanjye nimba agihumeka. Arangije baramubwira ngo ubwo reka tugukuremo n'uwo mwana twite turebe ukuntu uruhinja rw'umututsi ruba rumeze. Bamusatiriye kuri aritari hariya nawe yahise ahapfira.
As the Rwandan Patriotic Front advanced, the Akazu collapsed. Many fled to Zaire. Today's Democratic Republic of Congo, where they reassembled under new names and new movements, their militias became the FDLR, keeping the region in turmoil for decades. justice came, though slowly. At the International Criminal Tribunal in Arusha, key Akazu figures were convicted of genocide and crimes against humanity. But many others vanished, blending into exile, their stories unfinished. From ashes rose a nation rebuilt on truth, unity, and justice. Rwanda's recovery stands as a defiance of hate and corruption. Yet the memory of the Akazu endures as a warning of what can happen when power is left unchecked.
urumuri rwo kwibuka, urumuri rw'ubuzima.
The Akazu was a house built on lies, a small circle whose greed destroyed millions. But from that ruin, Rwanda has rebuilt its soul. And as long as the world remembers, that little house will never rise again.